and saying, oh, what are you doing here? And we're saying, naff off. We don't need to, you weren't interested, bugger off. Because they will want to know what we're doing. And at that moment, it becomes public knowledge right around the country what's going on. They'll be asking us the questions. And it's to avoid a revolution, because a revolution is going to happen in this country if we don't do something.
But if they know that you're going to do it on a certain day, won't they send lots of people in to cause trouble, pretending that they're one of you?
Yeah, but in absolute silence, if you've got anyone infiltrating, as they do, and I saw it at G20 and other places, it happens, if they want to cause trouble, in utter silence, we'll spot them, we can arrest them, and hand them, dare I say, back to the police. All right? It can be done. All it takes is numbers and a bit of balls to do it.
Well,
because so much is at stake.
I mean, I remember the poll tax riots, as they were called, but there were, you know, grandmothers and grandfathers in that poll tax protest. And in fact, there was violence in the end of the day, but not a huge amount of violence compared to the huge number of people who turned up. I mean, it happened to be a very warm day. It was March the 31st, 1990. I remember that day well, for another reason altogether. But it just happened to be a perfect day for it, and it was a popular cause, wasn't it? It was. It was. Yeah. It was. Every demographic turned out.
There's so much more at stake here. I mean, things have happened recently, just very recently. The government is now wants a national debate on how we can provide more food for this country in the future. This is the same government or line of governments that actually opened us up to the global markets to entirely destroy our own food-making abilities. But now they want to debate. And I would point out, I'm sorry to witter so long, but that's only happened two times in history. Only 2 times in history. Once immediately prior to World War I and once immediately prior to World War II. I would suggest that they're about to trigger World War III, and that's why they're doing it. Buckingham Palace, the grounds of Buckingham Palace just prior to World War II were turned over for vegetable growing and so on. I don't know if anyone's heard recently, but that's what they've done in Buckingham Palace just recently. It is time to wake up to what these people are planning and what they want us, the people, to do so that they can take control. If we react violently, that's it. They will come and crush, and we have the police state. If we go down...
Isn't it inevitable that that will happen? And even if it doesn't happen and everybody goes, no, we're not going to go violent, but surely they can have agent provocateur...
Of course they can. They can.
Causing trouble, and then they go, ha-ha, we've got you now.
But we only have one request, and that is that Gordon Brown, or whoever's Prime Minister at the time, God help us, it's that Tory leader, but, you know, it's all...
David Cameron, I believe his name is.
Yeah. But whoever it is at the time, if they want to avoid all of this, they could come on this show and explain to us why our representatives allow an elite private bank to issue our currency to us as a debt, when in fact it's a choice of ours that can be made not to do that.
Well, OK, here's an offer then. If David Cameron or Gordon Brown wish to come on this show and tell us why our currency is issued to us as a debt, please call the station.
Yeah.
Please call us, and you'll be very welcome.
And the silence will be deafening.
I suspect you're right.
But something does have to be done. And my suggestion is just that. But the people around, well, America's the same. America's on the verge of revolution. And Canada, in particular, really on the verge of revolution. This isn't just here. This is really kicking off. And if you haven't noticed, your economy is collapsing around your feet. Now's the time to do something. If you want a job and well, whatever.
So what is the something, then?
Well, I've made a point of making it clear that I'm making a suggestion.
Yeah, but you're saying this is in 10-10. You know, this is over a year away, or 11-11, which is over 2 years away.
Well, when I first suggested this, somebody said, hey, there's a movie here you must watch. It was V for Vendetta. I watched it and my jaw dropped.
It's a fantastic movie, isn't it?
So I suspect if we all go down to Parliament with V for Vendetta masks on...
Yeah, but he used explosives to destroy Parliament, didn't he? Well, and you're not suggesting that. I think it's important to state here and now that you're not...
It's to avoid that.
You're not supporting armed rebellion, are you?
It's to avoid that. Look, over the last few years, I've made a point of getting off my arse and going out and meeting people And some of these people, believe me, are looking to arm and looking to rebel in that way. And my point to them is, the second you do that, we're stuffed.
Yes.
And they are, you know, there's lots of tough people out there and they think that is the solution. Well, that's testosterone, that's what it does. But a bullet puts a stop to that rather quickly. We, the people, should go down there and sort this out before that kicks off.
Well, and also before they bring in these new weapons that they've got, which use microwaves to cause intense pain.
Yeah, there's all sorts of weaponry and so on that
which
they're
are already
using.
being used in some parts of the world.
We talked about the technology side before. There's so much technology that it is held. That you don't stand a chance. Even if we formed a people's army, we'd be wiped out in days. It's not about violence. And you know what? This might sound...
This is very... Sorry to interrupt you there, but it's very like Gandhi, isn't it? Mahatma Gandhi. His thing was he overcame the British Empire simply by going on a long walk to the seaside and making some salt and insisting that people wear clothes that were woven in India and not imported from Lancashire.
It's the simplest things that will make the difference. It's really the symbolism of actually doing that, of actually, in symbolic form, taking our country back quietly and peacefully. It's just the symbolism will wake the sleeping public up to the greatest scam in human history that is costing them dearly. We can be economically free. This nation can be economically free, and I bet, and I tell you, the others will follow. All we've got to do is do it here, because this is where the conspiracy starts.
The revolution in 1917 in Russia wasn't followed by the rest of Europe, was it?
No, it wasn't.
And the French Revolution wasn't followed by the English.
No, it wasn't. But now, for the first time ever in human history, arguably, we have communications, we have knowledge, we have insight, and you know what? We actually, I believe, we have the determination to actually do something.
So we're on the brink, do you think?
Well, it's not me who's saying we're on the brink of revolution. The government knows it. That's why all of our rights are being removed and so on and so forth, so that when this does happen, they've got everything tied up. I'm suggesting that we, the people, don't let this happen. And there's so many aspects to this overall thing. I say one thing can be done: go down and demand that the Bank of England stops issuing our currency as a debt, and everything else will snowball from there.
I think I've got to say that I'm a little bit nervous about talk of revolution on this show, and so we have to distance Edge Media TV from any talk of revolution.
And I join you on that. I'm saying the whole point of this is to avoid that, because it's out there and people are doing it. We all know there's people out there talking about this. It's to stop that. It has to be stopped.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but what I think you're saying is that what we need then is a sort of well, they've had these revolutions in some of the Eastern European countries, haven't they? When they separated from the Soviet Union, they had these sort of bloodless revolutions. Peaceful revolution.
Revolution doesn't mean violence or anything like that. The only ones that truly succeed have always been peaceful.
And if enough people buy into it,
you see,
and behave themselves, and have a burning belief. But that's the other thing, isn't it? How do you get them all to acquiesce to one core
Can I make this
belief?
clear? This is not about going to London and taking anything or doing anything. It's about demanding that our Prime Minister or some government representative steps forward and answers one question. Why are you letting them issue our currency as a debt when you can tomorrow change it like that? And so many ills will be cured by that. It will snowball from there. It will actually stop the very revolution that JFK and others have said will happen if they allow this to happen. Well, they did allow it to happen. So now it's up to the people.
So if it wasn't issued as a debt, then I could borrow, say, £100, and a year later I'd still owe £100. And 2 years later I'd still owe £100. And 1,000 years later I'd still owe £100. But then I might never bother paying it back.
There are there's so many implications to it. And you can talk about them forever, but it boils down to, if the currency was not issued as a debt, we have no bankers to pay it back to. We pay all the debts back to the state, and it goes back in, and we can use that money.
All right, half a minute, final word.
Bollocks.
No, that's too short a word. I want a longer word.
It's all bollocks. It really is. Final word? No, seriously, it is all bollocks, but we can put it right. We can actually do this peacefully, and we can stop all of this nonsense that's going on at the minute and all the confusion. There's nothing confusing about asking our government to remove the bankers from that equation. It's not even political. Not even political.
Okay. Well, it is very revelatory, and that is all we've got time for. Thank you to everyone for watching our special 2-hour show, and for those who texted, and thanks to my very special guest, Mark Cocking. If you've enjoyed this show, please tell all your friends. Next week, we'll be back with yet another exciting show that might even change your life. Until then, remember, they're watching you, watching us, watching them. Cheerio.